Okay, so we've got a really interesting deep dive today
Yeah.
into Elizabeth Warren.
It should be fun.
And what's fascinating is that the question that keeps coming up is grifter or gifted?
Yeah, is she the real deal or just really good at politics?
Right. Like, is she genuinely trying to change things
Yeah.
or just sort of playing the system?
Yeah.
And
And we've got a ton of stuff to go through
we
here.
do. I've got articles, like a whole bunch of them, political record.
Campaign platforms even?
Yeah. So let's start, I guess, with her background because I mean, waitress at 13 to a Harvard law professor.
That's a hell of a journey.
It's a pretty incredible story.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, how much did her early life, like those experiences, shape her views?
Like, did that sort of directly lead to her focus on economic inequality and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting to draw a straight line there.
Totally.
But I think you got to factor in her academic work, too.
Oh, for sure.
She specialized in bankruptcy law,
Right.
saw how the system can just crush working families.
So it's not just personal, it's like years of research backing up those beliefs.
Exactly. And that kind of sets the stage for a lot of what comes later.
Okay. So we've got the personal experience, the academic background, but we can't ignore the elephant in the room,
Yeah.
the controversy that's followed her.
Oh, yeah, the Native American ancestry claims.
The whole Pocahontas thing, the DNA test.
Right.
I mean, it felt like it overshadowed so much of what she was trying to do.
Yeah, it definitely took center stage at times.
Absolutely.
Now, Warren says she was always told about this ancestry, like growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but the Cherokee Nation, they weren't having it.
No, they really pushed back.
Yeah, they publicly criticized her, said she was undermining tribal interests.
And, this was all playing out during, like, peak social media,
Oh, totally.
where those sound bites and attacks go viral, and
It's tough to have a nuanced discussion.
it really is.
So, it raises questions about intent. Was this a genuine mistake? Or was it,
Was it calculated?
yeah, like was she trying to connect with certain voters?
It's hard to know.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you wonder how much of that sort of followed her into the 2020 presidential run, because she really went all in on that progressive platform.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember the wealth tax?
Oh, yeah. Economic patriotism.
These were not small tweaks.
No, she was calling for a fundamental restructuring of how we think about wealth and power.
And that resonated with a lot of people,
It did.
especially those who felt like the system was leaving them behind.
Yeah.
But some said it was too radical, too far left for mainstream America.
Yeah, it definitely sparked a debate. Was she pushing for necessary change or...
Or just appealing to a specific base.
Right. And then on top of all that,
Yeah.
she starts talking about her own alleged experiences with misogyny and sexism in politics.
Right. She said some women might be afraid to speak up about stuff because of agreements that could penalize them.
Yeah, so again, the personal becomes political, and it's like, how much should we read into that?
It's a really complex dynamic, and it makes separating the genuine from the calculated even harder.
Yeah. I mean, how do you disentangle that?
A tough one.
It is. And, even before she got into elected office, like, that tension between principle and pragmatism was already there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, think back to the 2008 financial crisis.
Oh, right. She was brought in to, like, oversee those bank bailouts.
Exactly. And she didn't exactly play nice.
I bet not.
She was calling out the establishment, saying they weren't doing enough to protect ordinary people.
So she was already building that reputation as someone who'd challenge power, even if it wasn't popular.
Oh, totally. And it's a theme that keeps coming up, like with the whole Consumer Financial Protection Bureau thing.
CFPB,
Right.
the agency they set up after the 2008 crash to, like, prevent another meltdown.
Yeah, that's the one. And Warren's considered like the architect of it.
Like, she really pushed for that.
Oh, yeah. She poured her academic expertise into designing this agency that could actually hold Wall Street accountable.
Okay, so that's a win for her, right?
It is. But here's the thing. Even though it was her baby, they blocked her from leading it.
Wow, seriously.
Yep.
Knowing Warren, that probably just made her more determined.
Oh, it definitely didn't slow her down.
No.
Since then, she's just kept pushing policies to rein in big banks and corporations.
Like, she became the voice for those who felt like the system was rigged against them.
Exactly. And she's not afraid to get in there and fight for it.
Like going head-to-head with bank CEOs. Even CNBC hosts.
Remember that clash with Brian Sullivan over price gouging?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
She was hammering this idea that corporations were using the avian flu and supply chain issues to just jack up prices.
And Sullivan was pushing back, saying, market forces price controls could make inflation worse.
Yeah, it was like this clash of ideologies playing out live on TV.
It was great.
But it gets to this question that keeps coming up with Warren. Is she offering real solutions, or is it just...
Populist anger.
Yeah, like, is it all just talk?
Because some people see her as a true champion for the working class, right?
Mm.
Someone who's willing to, like, shake things up, fight for a fairer system.
And others see her as a grandstander, you know?
Like all talk, no action.
Exactly. Throws out fiery rhetoric, but no realistic solutions.
It's interesting, though, regardless of where you stand on the pander, you can't deny her influence on the Democratic Party.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's this whole idea of new progressive economics gaining traction.
Right.
And a lot of people credit her with shaping that movement.
Yeah, it's a shift away from that more centrist pro-business approach you saw with Clinton and Obama.
Interesting.
That emphasizes government intervention in the economy to address inequality, climate change.
And Warren's fingerprints are all over it.
They really are. So even if she is a political opportunist, like some people say.
She's still having a real impact on how people think about these issues.
Absolutely. And that's what makes her so complex. You can't just put her in a box.
Right. It's not black and white.
There's genuine conviction, intellectual rigor, but also this sharp awareness of how to play the political game.
It's like she's constantly balancing those two sides.
Yeah.
The idealist and the pragmatist.
And that pension, it even shows up in her communication style.
Okay, so that's what we're going to dig into next.
Yep.
Because how she frames her message, how she connects with people, that's huge for understand whether she's really changing the world.
We're just playing the part.
It's funny you mentioned her communication style because I was thinking about that too.
Yeah.
It's like she has this knack for taking these complex economic ideas and making them seem
approachable.
Yeah, like you can actually understand what she's talking about.
It's that mix of like folksy charm and academic precision.
Totally. She can go from Wall Street derivatives to a story about her mom struggling to pay the bills.
And it all ties together somehow.
Yeah. It's like she's your favorite professor.
Right.
Who also happens to be really good at calling out the powerful.
Yeah, she's not afraid to throw some shade.
And I think that's a big part of her appeal. You know?
Definitely.
She makes you feel like she's on your side.
Like she gets it.
Yeah, fighting for you.
But that's also where some of those grifter accusations come in.
Right, because some people say she's oversimplifying things, using these emotional appeals to distract from the fact that her policies might not actually work.
Right, like, is she just playing on people's emotions?
Yeah.
Take that term. She uses economic patriotism.
It's kitschy, right.
Oh, yeah. It resonates with people who feel like the system's rigged against them.
For sure.
But it's also kind of vague.
What does it even mean?
Right, like, does it lead to protectionism? Trade wars?
There are some real questions there.
Yeah.
So is it genuine or is it calculated?
It's tough to say.
It really is.
And that's a thing with figures like Warren, you know.
Yeah.
They operate in this gray area.
Where it's all mixed together.
Yeah, sincerity and strategy are just intertwined.
It's like those personal anecdotes she uses.
Oh, yeah.
About her family struggling financially, all that.
Critics say she's using them to manipulate voters, create this emotional connection that makes them overlook the flaws in her policies.
But her supporters would say those stories are part of who she is.
Right.
Like they show her empathy for working families.
And it all plays out in this media environment that loves a good fight.
Oh, totally.
You know, a catchy soundbite.
They eat it up.
And Warren knows that.
She's not afraid to get in there and mix it up.
No, she'll throw a punch, get into a heated debate.
And it's made her a meaty darling for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also led to those accusations of grandstanding, you know?
Style over substance.
Yeah, exactly.
So it all comes back to that fundamental question.
One.
Is she a visionary leader who's actually trying to change the world?
Or is she a savvy operator who's just playing the game?
Yeah.
I mean, we've looked at her background, her policies, her communication style.
We went deep.
And it's still a tough call, honestly.
There's evidence on both sides.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the point, you know?
Like maybe people like Elizabeth Warren just defy easy categories.
It's not a simple answer.
They make us think about power ambition and how change actually happens.
It's complicated.
It really is.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Grifter and gifted? We've laid it all out, the facts, the arguments.
Now it's up to you to decide.
Because in a world where charisma and controversy are so intertwined,
separating the visionaries from the con artists is more important than ever.